calm, confident, reassuring, slightly analytical, warm and intelligent tone with steady pacing.
Curious, energetic, expressive, relatable, friendly tone with natural excitement and emotional reactions.
Imagine walking into an interview room and ruining your chances in the first 10 seconds without even realizing it.
That sounds terrifying because most people think interviews are all about giving the perfect answer.
Exactly, but the truth is, many interviews are lost before the real questions even begin. Sometimes it is the way you walk in. Sometimes it is the way you sit down. Sometimes it is one small sentence that instantly makes you sound nervous, unprepared, or lacking confidence.
And the worst part is, most people never know what mistake destroyed their chances.
That is why today on Talk Easy Daily, we are breaking down 20 interview mistakes that quietly destroy confidence and make employers doubt you even if you are smart, qualified, and hardworking.
And I think this topic matters because almost everyone has had that horrible interview experience where they leave the room and suddenly think, why did I say that?
Exactly. Maybe you spoke too fast. Maybe you forgot to make eye contact. Maybe you apologized too much. Or maybe you answered a simple question in a way that made you sound unsure of yourself.
I think a lot of viewers will relate to that feeling when your mind suddenly goes blank in the middle of an interview.
Yes, and when that happens, your confidence drops immediately. Then every answer after that becomes weaker.
So today we are not only talking about mistakes, we're also going to show you how to avoid them so you can sound calm, confident, and professional.
Because confidence in an interview is not something people are born with. It's something you build by understanding what works and what does not.
And if you stay until the end, some of these mistakes might completely change the way you prepare for interviews forever.
Especially mistake number 1, because it happens before the interview even starts.
Before it even starts?
Yes, and most people do it without thinking.
Okay, now I'm curious.
Let us start with one of the biggest confidence killers of all, arriving unprepared.
That sounds obvious, but I think a lot of people believe preparation only means reading the company website for 5 minutes.
Exactly. Real preparation means understanding the role, learning about the company, preparing answers for common questions, and even practicing how you introduce yourself.
Because when you're not prepared, you start doubting yourself.
And that doubt shows in your voice, your face, and your body language. You begin saying things like, I think, or I'm not really sure.
Which makes the interviewer think you're unsure of yourself.
Right. Imagine the interviewer asks, why do you want to work here? If you answer with something vague like, I just need a job, it immediately weakens your image.
But if you say something like, I admire your company's focus on customer service, and I believe my communication skills would help me contribute to that mission, you sound prepared and confident.
Exactly. Confidence often comes from preparation, not personality.
That's such an important point because many people think confident people are just naturally lucky.
No, most confident people simply prepare more than everyone else.
And viewers, be honest, have you ever gone into an interview thinking, I'll just answer naturally, and then suddenly forgot everything?
Almost everyone has done that at least once.
I definitely have.
And here's another mistake that destroys confidence very quickly, apologizing too much.
Oh wow, that's such a common one.
Some people begin every answer with, sorry, I'm nervous, or sorry, I'm not very good at interviews.
Which feels honest, but it also makes you sound less confident before you even answer the question.
Exactly. You don't need to announce your nervousness. Most interviewers already know you're nervous. That's normal.
So instead of apologizing, it's better to pause, breathe, and continue speaking calmly.
Yes, and in the next part, we're going to talk about some surprising body language mistakes that make interviewers lose confidence in you almost instantly. One of the fastest ways to lose confidence in an interview through body language mistakes.
And the scary thing is, you might not even realize you're doing them.
Exactly. You can say all the right words, but if your body language says, I'm nervous, uncomfortable, or insecure, the interviewer will notice it immediately.
So what's one of the biggest body language mistakes?
Avoiding eye contact.
That makes sense because when someone keeps looking down or looking away, it can seem like they're hiding something.
Yes, even if you're honest and qualified, poor eye contact can make you appear unsure of yourself.
But sometimes people avoid eye contact because they're shy or nervous, not because they're undistrustful.
That's true, and interviewers understand that. You don't need to stare at someone without blinking. You just need natural eye contact. Look at the interviewer when you're listening and when you're answering.
So if you keep looking at the floor, your hands, or the wall, it makes you seem less confident.
Exactly. Another major mistake is having weak posture.
You mean slouching in the chair?
Yes, sitting with your shoulders down, your head lowered, or your body leaning away can make you look uncomfortable and lacking in confidence.
Even if you know the answer.
Exactly. Your posture affects both how people see you and how you feel about yourself.
That's interesting because I've heard that if you sit up straight, you actually feel more confident.
You do. There is a big psychological difference between sitting like you want to disappear and sitting like you belong in the room.
That's such a powerful sentence. Sit like you belong in the room.
Because you do belong there. The company invited you. They already saw something valuable in your application.
That's a great reminder for viewers because sometimes people walk into interviews acting like they are asking for a favor.
Exactly. You are not begging for a chance. You are showing what value you can bring.
And that mindset changes everything.
Here's another body language mistake that hurts confidence: not smiling.
Really? A smile matters that much?
Absolutely. You don't need to smile every second, but a warm smile at the beginning and during friendly moments makes you seem more approachable and positive.
Because if someone looks serious or uncomfortable the whole time, the interview can feel awkward.
Yes, employers often hire people they enjoy talking to. Skills matter, but personality matters too.
So a smile can make you seem more confident, friendly, and easy to work with.
Exactly. Now here's another mistake that surprises a lot of people: speaking too fast.
Oh, that's a big one when people are nervous.
Yes, when people panic, they often rush through answers because they want to get it over with.
But then they start breathing too fast, making mistakes, and forgetting what they wanted to say.
Exactly. And when you speak too fast, your answers can sound disorganized.
So what should people do instead?
Slow down. Pause between ideas. Take a breath before answering.
I think many people are afraid of silence.
They are, but short pauses actually make you sound more confident.
Because it shows that you're thinking.
Exactly. A confident person is not afraid to pause.
That's such a good tip because many viewers probably think they need to answer immediately.
No, if the interviewer asks a difficult question, it's completely okay to take 2 or 3 seconds before speaking.
That's probably better than giving a rushed answer you regret later.
Absolutely. Now let's talk about another huge mistake: giving extremely short answers.
Like when the interviewer asks, "Tell me about yourself," and the person says, "I'm hardworking and I like teamwork."
Exactly. That answer is too short and too generic.
It doesn't help the interviewer understand who you are.
Right. Interviewers want examples, stories, and details. If you only give one-sentence answers, you miss the chance to show your strengths.
So instead of saying, "I'm good at solving problems," you could say, "In my last job, I solved a customer issue that had been causing problems for weeks."
Exactly. Specific examples make you sound more real, more memorable, and more confident.
And I think stories are easier to remember too.
They are. If you tell a strong story, the interviewer is more likely to remember you after the interview ends.
That's such a good point because sometimes people think interviews are only about answering questions.
But interviews are really about leaving a strong impression. And speaking of impressions, there is one mistake that can destroy confidence before you say a word. Yes, your clothes.
I knew you were going to say that.
Because the way you dress affects how you feel.
Definitely. If you're wearing something too casual or something that makes you uncomfortable, you'll spend the whole interview worrying about it.
Exactly. You don't always need expensive clothes, but you should look clean, neat, and professional.
Because when you know you look good, you naturally feel more confident.
Yes, and confidence is not only in your words, it's in how you carry yourself.
Calm, confident, reassuring, slightly analytical, warm and intelligent tone with steady pacing. Curious, energetic, expressive, relatable, friendly tone with natural excitement and emotional reactions. So far, we have talked about preparation, body language, posture, smiling, speaking speed, short answers, and clothes.
And we are just getting started because in the next part,
We're going to talk about some dangerous speaking mistakes that make interviewers lose interest very quickly.
Including one mistake that almost everyone makes when they talk about their weaknesses.
One of the biggest speaking mistakes in interviews is using weak language.
What do you mean by weak language?
Words and phrases that make you sound unsure of yourself.
Like saying maybe, I guess, or I think so?
Exactly. Imagine the interviewer asks, "Can you handle difficult customers?" And you answer, "I think I probably can."
That sounds very uncertain.
It does. Even if you have experience, weak language makes it sound like you do not trust yourself.
So what is a better answer?
Something like, "Yes, I've handled difficult customers before, and I stay calm by listening carefully and focusing on solutions."
That sounds much stronger.
Because confidence is often about choosing stronger words.
I think a lot of people do not realize how often they use weak phrases.
Exactly. And once you notice them, you can replace them with more confident language.
So instead of saying, I think I am good at teamwork, you could say, I work well in teams because I communicate clearly and support others.
Perfect. Another huge mistake is talking negatively about your previous job, boss, or coworkers.
That is such a dangerous one.
Yes, even if your last job was terrible, an interview is not the place to complain.
Because the interviewer may think, if this person talks badly about old coworkers, they might talk badly about us too.
Exactly. Negativity can make you seem difficult to work with.
So if someone asks, why did you leave your last job, what should they say?
Focus on growth, learning, or new opportunities. For example, I learned a lot in my previous role, but I'm now looking for a position where I can grow and take on more responsibility.
That sounds professional and positive.
Exactly. You want to sound mature, not bitter.
Here's another mistake that probably happens a lot: interrupting the interviewer.
Yes, sometimes people are nervous and they start answering before the interviewer finishes speaking.
Or they get excited and jump in too quickly.
Exactly, but interrupting can make you seem impatient or careless.
So it's better to wait 1 second after the interviewer finishes before you begin speaking.
Yes, that tiny pause can make a huge difference.
It also gives you a moment to think.
Exactly. And here's another mistake that destroys confidence very quickly: trying to sound perfect.
That's interesting because most people think they need to appear perfect in an interview.
But perfection often sounds fake.
Really?
Yes. Imagine the interviewer asks, "What is one of your weaknesses?" And you say, "Honestly, I work too hard."
That answer feels very fake because everyone has heard it before.
Exactly. Interviewers want honesty and self-awareness.
So what is a better way to answer that question?
Choose a real weakness, but show how you are improving it. For example, earlier in my career, I found it difficult to speak up in group discussions, but I've been working on becoming more confident and sharing my ideas more often.
That sounds much more believable.
And it shows growth.
Which is probably what employers really want.
Exactly. They don't expect you to be perfect. They want to see that you can learn and improve.
I think that takes a lot of pressure off people.
It should, because when people try too hard to sound perfect, they become stiff, robotic, and unnatural.
And then they stop sounding like a real person.
Exactly. Another common mistake is memorizing answers word for word.
Oh, wow, yes, that can sound very strange.
It does. Some people practice so much that they sound like they're reading from a script.
Then, if the interviewer asks the question in a slightly different way, they panic.
Exactly. It's better to prepare ideas, examples, and stories rather than memorizing exact sentences.
So you want to sound prepared but natural.
Yes, think of it like having a map instead of reading from a script.
That's such a good comparison.
Here's another mistake that destroys confidence very quickly: saying, "I don't know," too easily.
But what if you really don't know the answer?
It's okay not to know everything. The problem is when people give up too quickly.
So instead of saying, I don't know, You could say, I haven't had direct experience with that yet, but I'd be excited to learn.
Exactly. That answer shows honesty and willingness to grow.
Which sounds much stronger.
And interviewers love people who are open to learning.
Let me ask you something. What if someone makes a mistake during the interview?
That happens to everyone.
Even confident people?
Absolutely. The difference is that confident people don't panic when they make a mistake.
So if you forget a word or lose your train of thought, you shouldn't act like the interview is ruined.
Exactly. Just smile, take a breath, and continue.
Because one small mistake is not the end of the world.
Not at all. In fact, staying calm after a mistake can actually make you look more confident.
That's such an important lesson because so many people think one awkward moment destroys everything.
Usually it doesn't. People remember your overall energy more than one small error.
And in the next part, we're going to talk about some surprising behavior mistakes that quietly damage your image in interviews.
Including one mistake people make at the very end of the interview that can ruin an otherwise great performance.
One mistake that quietly damages your image in an interview is checking your phone.
Even if it's just for a second?
Yes, the moment you look at your phone, it sends a message that the interview is not your full priority.
That makes sense, because interviews are really about attention and respect.
Exactly. Even if your phone is on silent, it's better to keep it completely out of sight.
Because if your phone is sitting on the table, you might feel tempted to look at it.
Yes, and even one quick glance can make the interviewer feel like you're distracted.
Here's another mistake that people may not realize: arriving too late.
Or even arriving too early.
Wait, arriving too early can be bad too?
Yes, if you arrive 30 or 40 minutes early, it can sometimes create pressure or awkwardness.
So what's the best timing?
Usually, arriving about 10 to 15 minutes early is ideal.
That gives you enough time to relax without making things uncomfortable.
Exactly, but arriving late is much worse because it immediately creates stress.
And when you're stressed, your confidence drops before the interview even begins.
Right, you walk in feeling embarrassed, rushed, and worried.
Which affects your energy for the rest of the conversation.
Exactly. Another common mistake is forgetting to listen carefully.
That sounds simple, but I think many people are so focused on what they want to say that they stop listening.
Yes, sometimes interviewers give important details inside the question itself.
So if you only hear half the question, your answer may not make sense.
Exactly, and when that happens, you can look unprepared or careless.
So one of the smartest things you can do is slow down and really listen.
Yes, good communication is not only about speaking well, it's also about listening well.
That's such an important point, because people often think interviews are only about giving impressive answers.
But if you don't understand the question, even the best answer will fail.
Here's another mistake I've seen when people keep talking for too long.
Yes, long answers can become a problem.
Especially when people start giving too many unnecessary details.
Exactly. If the interviewer asks, "Tell me about a challenge you faced," you don't need to tell your entire life story.
Because after a while, the interviewer may lose interest.
Right. Strong answers are clear, focused, and organized.
So what's a good strategy?
Try to answer in 3 parts: the situation, what you did, and the result.
That makes it easier for the interviewer to follow your story.
Exactly, and it also sounds more confident because your answer has structure.
Here's another mistake that can hurt people: acting too casual.
Yes, sometimes people try so hard to seem relaxed that they become unprofessional.
Like using too much slang.
Exactly, or speaking as if they're talking to a close friend.
That can be risky because interviews still need a level of professionalism.
Right, you want to sound friendly but not careless.
So there needs to be a balance.
Exactly, friendly and professional at the same time.
I think another big mistake is forgetting to ask questions at the end.
That's a huge one. Because when the interviewer says, "Do you have any questions for us?" and the person says, "No, I think I'm fine," it can seem like they are not very interested.
Exactly. Asking thoughtful questions shows curiosity, preparation, and genuine interest.
So instead of saying nothing, you could ask, what does success look like in this role? Or what do you enjoy most about working here?
Those are excellent questions because they create a stronger connection.
And they make the conversation feel more natural, too.
Exactly. Here's another mistake that many people make right at the end of the interview, leaving without confidence.
What do you mean?
Some people finish the interview with weak energy. They stand up awkwardly, avoid eye contact, and leave without thanking the interviewer properly.
So even if the interview went well, the final impression becomes weak.
Exactly. People often remember the beginning and the end most clearly.
So how should someone end an interview?
Smile, make eye contact, thank the interviewer for their time, and say something positive, like, I enjoyed learning more about the role, and I would be excited for the opportunity to join your team.
That sounds confident without sounding arrogant.
Exactly. A strong ending leaves a strong memory.
And I think a lot of viewers forget that interviews are not only about avoiding mistakes.
That's true.
They're also about creating moments that make people remember you in a positive way.
Exactly. Because confidence is not about being perfect. It's about showing that you can stay calm, communicate clearly, and handle pressure.
And honestly, that's what most employers are looking for.
Yes. In the next part, we're going to talk about real interview stories and examples so you can see exactly how these mistakes happen in real life.
And some of these examples are so relatable that you'll probably see yourself in them immediately.
Let's talk about a real example that happens to so many people.
The kind of example where you leave the interview and replay every second in your head for the next 3 days?
Exactly that kind of example.
I think almost everyone has done that at least once.
Imagine a candidate walks into an interview already feeling nervous. They sit down, avoid eye contact, and immediately say, "Sorry, I'm really bad at interviews."
That already sounds uncomfortable.
Then the interviewer asks, "Tell me about yourself." And the candidate says, well, I don't really know where to start."
Oh no.
Then they begin talking too fast. They jump from one job to another without structure. They mention problems with their old boss. They forget to explain their achievements. Then at the end, when the interviewer asks, "Do you have any questions?" they say, "No."
That's painful because none of those mistakes seem huge by themselves.
Exactly. But together, they create an image of someone who lacks confidence.
Even if that person is actually smart and capable.
Right. Now let's compare that to someone who handles the same interview differently.
Okay, this should be interesting.
The second candidate walks in, smiles, makes eye contact, and says, "Thank you for meeting me today."
That already feels more confident.
Then, when they're asked, "Tell me about yourself," they say, "I have worked in customer service for 3 years, and during that time, I developed strong communication and problem-solving skills. In my last role, I helped improve customer satisfaction by staying calm and finding solutions quickly."
That sounds so much stronger because it's clear and specific.
Exactly. Then, when they're asked about their previous job, they stay positive. They explain what they learned and why they're excited about new opportunities.
So even if their last job was difficult, they don't complain.
Right. And at the end of the interview, they ask, "What qualities make someone successful in this role?"
That's such a good question because it shows interest.
Exactly. Then they finish by thanking the interviewer and leaving with strong energy.
It's amazing how those small details completely change the feeling of the interview.
Because confidence is usually built through small details.
I think viewers often believe confidence means being loud or speaking perfectly.
But real confidence is often quiet.
Quiet confidence. I like that.
Quiet confidence means speaking clearly, staying calm, and trusting yourself even when you feel nervous.
Let's talk about another real situation because I think many viewers will relate to this one.
Go ahead.
Imagine someone gets asked a difficult question like, "Can you tell me about a time you failed?"
That's one of the questions people fear the most.
Because people immediately think, what if I say the wrong thing?
Exactly. Then they panic and say something like, "Honestly, I can't think of any failures."
Which sounds unrealistic because everyone has failed at something.
Exactly. A stronger answer would be something like, Earlier in my career, I once underestimated how long a project would take, and I missed a deadline. That experience taught me to plan more carefully and communicate earlier when I need help.
That answer sounds honest and mature.
Because the interviewer is not only listening to the mistake, they're listening to what you learned from it.
That's such an important mindset shift.
Here's another common story. Someone gets asked, "Why should we hire you?"
That question makes a lot of people nervous.
Yes, and many people answer too weakly. They say, "I don't know, I just really need this job."
That sounds desperate.
Exactly. A stronger answer would be, "You should hire me because I bring strong communication skills, I learn quickly, and I'm committed to doing high-quality work."
That sounds much more confident.
Because confidence is about focusing on the value you bring.
Not just the fact that you want the job.
Exactly. Employers already know you want the job. What they really want to know is why you're the right person for it.
Here's another relatable situation. Someone is doing okay in the interview, but then they make one small mistake.
Maybe they forget a word, lose their train of thought, or answer something awkwardly.
And then suddenly they think, that's it, I ruined everything.
Exactly. Then they spend the rest of the interview feeling embarrassed.
Which causes them to make even more mistakes.
Right, but confident people recover quickly.
So instead of panicking, they say something like, let me explain that a little more clearly.
Exactly. Or they smile and say, "I think I lost my train of thought for a second."
That actually sounds very natural.
Because interviewers know you're human.
They don't expect you to be a robot.
Exactly. Sometimes the ability to recover from a mistake is more impressive than avoiding mistakes completely.
That's such a powerful idea.
Because in real jobs, problems happen all the time.
And employers want people who can stay calm under pressure.
Exactly. Let's talk about one more example because this one happens constantly.
Okay.
Imagine the interviewer asks, "Do you work well in a team?"
Most people would probably say yes.
But that answer is too simple. A stronger answer would be, "Yes, in my previous role, I worked closely with a team during a busy period, and we improved customer response times by organizing tasks more clearly."
That answer feels much more believable because it includes proof.
Exactly. In interviews, examples are everything.
Because anyone can say they're hardworking, organized, or friendly.
But when you give a real example, your answer becomes stronger and more memorable.
So if you're watching right now, remember this. Don't just tell interviewers you're good at something.
Show them.
And in the next part, we're going to go even deeper into the psychology of confidence so you can understand why some people naturally seem calm and powerful in interviews.
And once you understand that psychology, interviews will start feeling much less scary. One of the biggest differences between confident people and nervous people in interviews is not intelligence.
Really?
No, it's how they interpret pressure.
What do you mean by that?
Nervous people often see the interview as a test where one wrong answer will destroy everything.
That sounds exactly like what many people think.
They walk into the room thinking, "I can't make any mistakes. I have to be perfect. If I say one wrong thing, it's over."
And that mindset creates even more pressure.
Exactly. Then they become stiff, quiet, and afraid to speak naturally.
So what do confident people think instead?
Confident people see the interview as a conversation.
A conversation?
Yes, they know the interviewer is simply trying to understand who they are, how they think, and whether they would be a good fit for the team.
That already sounds less scary.
Because it's less scary. When you stop seeing the interview as a battle, you start acting more naturally.
That's such an important mindset shift.
Think about it this way. The interviewer is not hoping you fail.
That's true.
In fact, most interviewers want you to do well because they want to find the right person for the job.
I never thought about it like that.
They're not sitting there thinking, "How can I make this person uncomfortable?" They're thinking, "Can this person solve problems? Can this person communicate clearly? Can this person work well with others?"
That makes interviews feel much more human.
Exactly. Another important part of confidence is accepting that nervousness is normal.
I think that is something people really need to hear.
Absolutely. Many people believe confidence means feeling completely calm.
But that is not realistic.
No, even experienced professionals still get nervous before interviews.
Really?
Of course, the difference is that they do not panic because of the nervousness.
So they feel nervous, but they keep going anyway.
Exactly. They do not say, I feel nervous, so I must not be confident. They say, I feel nervous because this opportunity matters to me.
That is such a powerful way to think about it.
Nervousness is not always a bad sign. Sometimes it simply means you care.
That changes everything because so many people think being nervous means they are failing.
No, the real problem is when you let nervousness control your behavior.
Like speaking too fast, apologizing too much, or forgetting to listen.
Exactly. But if you can stay calm even while feeling nervous, you will appear much more confident.
Here's something I think many viewers struggle with, comparing themselves to other candidates.
That's a huge confidence killer.
Because people think there are probably smarter people, more experienced people, better looking people, more confident people.
Exactly. And when you focus too much on other candidates, you stop focusing on your own strengths.
Which makes you feel smaller and weaker.
Right. But remember this, the company invited you for a reason.
That is such an important reminder.
They already saw something valuable in your resume, your experience, or your skills.
So instead of thinking, I'm probably not good enough, you should think, I already earned the chance to be here.
Exactly. You don't need to be the perfect candidate. You just need to be the best version of yourself.
That is so much healthier than trying to compete with everyone else in your mind.
Because confidence grows when you focus on your own value.
Not on your fear.
Exactly. Another psychological trick that confident people use is visualization.
Visualization?
Yes, before the interview, they imagine themselves walking into the room, smiling, speaking clearly, answering questions well, and leaving with confidence.
That sounds simple, but I can see how it helps.
It does help because your brain responds strongly to mental pictures.
So if you spend all day imagining failure, you'll probably feel more afraid.
Exactly. But if you imagine success, your brain begins to see that situation as possible.
That is such a useful tip for viewers because many people spend hours imagining the worst-case scenario.
Yes, they imagine forgetting every answer, saying something embarrassing, or getting rejected.
Which makes them even more anxious before the interview starts.
Exactly. So instead of feeding fear, feed confidence.
I like that phrase.
Here's another powerful insight. Confidence is not built only before the interview.
It's built long before that, right?
Exactly. Confidence comes from your habits.
Such as?
Practicing your speaking skills, improving your communication, learning how to tell stories, and becoming more comfortable talking to new people.
So confidence is really a skill.
Yes, and like any skill, it improves with practice.
That's good news because it means people are not stuck with low confidence forever.
Exactly. If you struggle with interviews now, it doesn't mean you will struggle forever.
It just means you need more practice and better strategies.
Right. Think about someone learning to drive.
At first, they feel nervous, awkward, and unsure.
But after enough practice, they become calm and comfortable.
So interviews are similar.
Exactly. The more interviews you do, the more confident you become.
Even if some interviews don't go well.
Especially if some interviews don't go well.
Really?
Of course, because every bad interview teaches you something.
Maybe you realize you need better examples. Maybe you realize you speak too fast. Maybe you realize you need more preparation.
Exactly. Failure can become feedback.
That is such a powerful idea because many people see rejection as proof that they are not good enough.
But rejection is often just information.
Information about what you can improve.
Exactly. And when you see interviews that way, they become less painful and more useful.
So if you have ever had a bad interview, don't let it define you.
Learn from it.
Because your next interview can always be stronger than your last one.
And in the next part, we're going to recap the biggest lessons from today and show you how to walk into your next interview with a completely different mindset.
And if you have stayed with us until now, you are already much more prepared than most people.
Let's quickly recap the biggest interview mistakes that destroy confidence.
Because there were a lot of them.
There were. But if you remember just a few key ideas, you can completely change the way you perform in interviews.
First, preparation matters more than people think.
Absolutely. Confidence comes from knowing what you want to say before you enter the room.
Which means researching the company, preparing examples, and practicing common questions.
Exactly. Second, your body language matters.
Eye contact, posture, smiling, and speaking slowly can make a huge difference.
Because people don't only listen to your words, they also watch how you carry yourself.
Third, avoid weak language.
Yes, stop saying things like maybe, I guess, or I'm not sure.
Replace those phrases with stronger, clearer answers.
Fourth, remember that examples are powerful.
Because anyone can say, I'm hardworking.
But when you share a real story, people believe you.
Fifth, don't panic when you make a mistake.
Because mistakes happen to everyone.
And often the way you recover from a mistake says more about you than the mistake itself.
Exactly. Stay calm, smile, and continue.
Another huge lesson is that interviews are conversations, not battles.
That mindset can change everything.
Because when you stop trying to be perfect, you start sounding more natural.
And natural confidence is always more powerful than forced perfection.
I think one of my favorite lessons today was this idea that you already belong in the room.
Yes, if you are invited to the interview, it means the company already saw something valuable in your resume, your experience, or your skills.
So instead of thinking, I'm probably not good enough, you should think, I already earned the chance to be here.
Exactly. You don't need to be the perfect candidate. You just need to be the best version of yourself.
That is so much healthier than trying to compete with everyone else in your mind,
Because confidence grows when you focus on your own value.
not on your fear.
Exactly. Another psychological trick that confident people use is visualization.
Visualization?
Yes, before the interview, they imagine themselves walking into the room, smiling, speaking clearly, answering questions well, and leaving with confidence.
That sounds simple, but I can see how it helps.
It does help because your brain responds strongly to mental pictures.
So if you spend all day imagining failure, you'll probably feel more afraid.
Exactly. But if you imagine success, your brain begins to see that situation as possible.
That is such a useful tip for viewers because many people spend hours imagining the worst-case scenario.
Yes, they imagine forgetting every answer, saying something embarrassing, or getting rejected.
Which makes them even more anxious before the interview starts.
Exactly. So instead of feeding fear, feed confidence.
I like that phrase.
Here's another powerful insight. Confidence is not built only before the interview.
It's built long before that, right?
Exactly. Confidence comes from your habits.
Such as?
Practicing your speaking skills, improving your communication, learning how to tell stories, and becoming more comfortable talking to new people.
So confidence is really a skill.
Yes, and like any skill, it improves with practice.
That's good news because it means people are not stuck with low confidence forever.
Exactly. If you struggle with interviews now, it doesn't mean you will struggle forever.
It just means you need more practice and better strategies.
Right. Think about someone learning to drive.
At first, they feel nervous, awkward, and unsure.
But after enough practice, they become calm and comfortable.
So interviews are similar.
Exactly. The more interviews you do, the more confident you become.
Even if some interviews don't go well.
Especially if some interviews don't go well.
Really?
Of course, because every bad interview teaches you something.
Maybe you realize you need better examples. Maybe you realize you speak too fast. Maybe you realize you need more preparation.
Exactly. Failure can become feedback.
That is such a powerful idea because many people see rejection as proof that they are not good enough.
But rejection is often just information.
Information about what you can improve.
Exactly. And when you see interviews that way, they become less painful and more useful.
So if you have ever had a bad interview, don't let it define you.
Learn from it.
Because your next interview can always be stronger than your last one.
And in the next part, we're going to recap the biggest lessons from today and show you how to walk into your next interview with a completely different mindset.
And if you have stayed with us until now, you are already much more prepared than most people.
Let's quickly recap the biggest interview mistakes that destroy confidence.
Because there were a lot of them.
There were. But if you remember just a few key ideas, you can completely change the way you perform in interviews.
First, preparation matters more than people think.
Absolutely. Confidence comes from knowing what you want to say before you enter the room.
Which means researching the company, preparing examples, and practicing common questions.
Exactly. Second, your body language matters.
Eye contact, posture, smiling, and speaking slowly can make a huge difference.
Because people don't only listen to your words, they also watch how you carry yourself.
Third, avoid weak language.
Yes, stop saying things like maybe, I guess, or I'm not sure.
Replace those phrases with stronger, clearer answers.
Fourth, remember that examples are powerful.
Because anyone can say, I'm hardworking.
But when you share a real story,